Hi and welcome. Beautiful Forever University is so excited today to have a special guest. And it's all about keeping your schedule full. How do you maximize your profit potential? Save time, save money, hire the right staff. There's so much involved, and we'll just touch on some of it today, not even the whole thing. But, as Lee says, what makes the practice tick? There's a lot behind it. But as I always say, it starts at the top, and the top is with management. Usually the physician is at the top, but not the manager of the practice. The manager is what really makes it tick and keep things ticking and going. So listen very carefully today. You'll learn a lot of tips and hints, and we're going to talk about how to achieve it. What is the best way to do it with a manager who's been in practices for well over 25 years. And the truth about a winning team, and how do you best keep your schedules full? So today we're going to talk to Lee, and she will be with us, but we're going to go over first the outline for today, because it's a longer than usual webinar, because we have so much to cover. And then we might have to have her back for a second round, but maintaining the full schedule. So the most effective automated methods that keep your schedule full. That's one of the things we're going to touch on today, which is very important. You can't do it all with one program. Some doctors just want to buy one EMR system that does everything, but it's very hard to find one thing that does everything, and that everybody in the staff obviously needs to learn all of your technologies. But there are many patients that come in and out of the office, and there's many ways to communicate. So we'll talk about that today. The last minute cancellations are usually a big problem for most practices, because here you set aside an hour and a half, and what do? Some offices charge, some don't charge. They take credit cards, they don't. There's fees for consults, there's not. It varies throughout the country. When we talk about finance and making it affordable to everybody, and some patients right now with what is the new world, don't have the money just to write a check. And financing, whether it's 0% financing or some special deal that they're getting, financing is the option and the way to go to make it affordable to everybody. The no-show rate, well, that's always a big deal. Those that don't show, that's a problem. And you need to track that, and you need to know who they are and how often it's happening. So actually, when I cancel an appointment, I always feel bad saying, oh, they're going to mark me with a red flag. But it's hard when you're working. So there's also the best practices for recall and pre-appointing and making appointments for follow-up visits or for post photographs, and for booking and doing winning consults. So today we're going to touch on a little bit of everything all around the practice of Dr. Rubinstein and maintaining the full schedule. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about Lee Nelson that I've been talking about, and she has joined us, and I'm so excited. And she's a practice administrator for Dr. Adam Rubinstein in Aventura, Florida. And he's a great doctor to work for. And you have to really appreciate the person that you're working with. That's really important, and really feel good about your job. And we're just talking about how she has to travel over an hour to get there and over an hour to get home. But with 25 years experience, she knows the aesthetic business, and she's doing an amazing job in building a successful practice. It's a medspa practice that offers med spa services. There's no really allocation for a med spa. And Lee has owned her own risk management company, and has worked for the state of Florida. She's very enthusiastic and believes that attentive patient care is what makes a practice successful. And I totally agree with that. It's very important that you're proud of your staff and you train your staff well. And we were just talking, Lee has a staff of 10, and that's a lot to manage. And so we're going to get on with our program, and we're going to talk to Lee about many items, one of them being SOLUTIONREACH. It's a patient relationship management program that helps you to grow your practice. And at the end of today, we will be talking about a couple of different companies. There will be information. Any questions you have, we will be able to answer them after at the end. So Lee, I welcome you, and I'm happy to have you.
Thank you.
You're very
I enjoy
welcome.
being here.
That's great. So one of the things we were going to talk about, amongst many, about filling your practice is how automated systems actually help you with communications and with messaging. So maybe tell us a little bit about your experience with SOLUTIONREACH.
Okay, we have utilized SOLUTIONREACH quite a number of ways. We use SOLUTIONREACH for appointment reminders, and we send those out right when the patient makes an appointment. It goes out by email. It's all personalized as if it's right from Dr. Rubinstein. Then we also send them text reminders. So like 2 days before their appointment, we text them. And if they have not confirmed the appointment yet, the day before, we'll text them again. And if they still have not confirmed, 2 hours before, we'll send out the third text. Now, what this does is it just reminds the patient they have an appointment. Now, you really don't want to like bug these patients and upset them if they've already confirmed. So SOLUTIONREACH is very good. Once a patient hits confirm, it switches the confirm button on in our medical software. So our front desk knows that that patient is confirmed and we don't have to bother them anymore. However, I have such an amazing front desk girl that she does take upon herself the day before appointments to just call the patients to friendly remind them again. To me, it's so important to stay in contact with your patients. You know,
Yeah.
Patients are what we need. We really strive to let the patient know that we look forward to having them come to their appointments, and we make sure that we keep reminding them.
And do you have something if somebody shows up 25 minutes late? Do you have any kind of rules or any kind of processes that you let them know about beforehand?
Well, in our appointment reminder, it's very specific. It says if you're 15 minutes late, we may have to reschedule you. However, Dr. Rubinstein doesn't believe in that. He believes that the patient takes effort, even if they're very late to get there, he's going to see. But of course, the doctor knows best. So we do try to accommodate those patients. It doesn't happen that often, so it's not that big of a hindrance. But when it does happen, it can put our schedule back a bit, but we always have plenty of coffee to offer them and a little snack if they want it. So we try to keep them happy.
What happens if it's not the doctor's book and it's the esthetician or the nurse injector? The same goes for that?
Well, only if it's not an appointment that's like a 2-hour appointment. Because some of our esthetician appointments, when they're doing a body treatment, it takes a 2-hour slot. So if they're 15 minutes late for a 2-hour slot, of course we can't do that because they become back to back to back to back. So we gently tell the patient that they're late, that we're going to have to reschedule them. When we do that, we always try to make it convenient for them, and we let them know, that it's important for them to be on time and that we will add an extra reminder for them. Here's another thing though that we do that I like. New patients. When a new patient calls to make an appointment, we explain to them that our consultations are completely complimentary. We don't charge.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay. Our consultations are complimentary. However, we do gather a credit card number from each patient, telling them that what we have is a no-show policy, meaning that if you just don't show up for your appointment, you will be charged $50. It is the doctor's time, which is very important. Mm-hmm. We always tell the patients, the minute you walk in this door, that credit card number gets wiped off the system and you will never be charged for anything unless you just don't show up for that appointment. it's amazing. The patients are, okay, fine. That sounds, sounds logical to them. So that really cuts down on our no-shows.
And that's great. Have you been doing that for long?
We've been doing it for over a year now. Yes.
And you found that it really does cut down on the no-show rates if they think they're going to be charged.
It does. And the interesting thing is my front desk girl, Mia, we run the credit card for $1 once we gather the credit card. And if it doesn't go through, she gently calls them and says, oh, we're so excited about your coming to your appointment. However, your credit card didn't go through, but can we have another one? So,
it's actually a good way to test if their credit card is going to work.
Yeah. Yes. So it works out pretty well for us.
Well, that actually makes sense, and I didn't think of it that way, but that's perfect. What is the frequency that you're emailing, let's say an e-blast or specials or promotions?
Oh, we work so hard on our specials and promotions. Every month we have a new special and promotion. There's a whole team of us that work together to put it together. And we actually send it out once a week for the month, but we'll change like the picture behind it. We'll change a little something, because if they didn't open it the first time, maybe they'll open it the second time. But again, we do this through SOLUTIONREACH. So we can schedule, I could put all 4 of our specials on SOLUTIONREACH and schedule a time for them to send it out. So, and backing up as far as SOLUTIONREACH goes also, they gather all our emails, all our new patient emails, all our patient emails. They automatically they download those into their system. So we don't have to give them any information.
Which is great. So if somebody goes onto your website and fills out a website intake form, does that also go into your system?
Well, that goes to a different system that we have.
Okay.
Like there's, it takes a lot to run a practice successfully, and we all can't do it in the door. Besides SOLUTIONREACH, we have another company we work with that when a patient calls us from our website, it goes into their call center. It's called Redspot. It'll go into their call center, and they have access to our schedule, and they will schedule patients for us. They know our criteria. They know exactly what they can schedule where, because you're real specific about how a schedule is built.
Right.
And so they help us gather patient information and enter it into our system.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a village. Even though you have 10, you actually have a lot more than 10 in staff, because you have a lot more people to manage. And the tracking and the following up is another job, because you need to track where people are coming from. And that's something that's not usually gathered by the staff, because they're so busy doing so many other things. And doing winning consults is important. So growing your business takes many, you need to be an octopus, I guess, to be able to gather and pull everything together under one roof, and for you to manage everybody. So, I mean, you're doing a great job, and it's not an easy job.
Well, if you have a lot of if you have help in place,
Right.
it makes things run very smoothly. All our new patients are contacted by our patient coordinator a couple of days before they come in. So she introduces herself, gets to know the patient, tells them a little bit about herself, what they can expect when they come into the practice. So the minute they walk in the door, she's up out of her desk. She's walking into the front office. She's telling, not shaking hands anymore, but she's greeting the patient, and they already have already established a relationship with her, which is wonderful and is important, because these people just want to feel special. That's all you have to do, just make them feel special.
No, it's very true. Yeah, no, it's very true. And a good patient coordinator is so important in a practice. So she has to be there full time, and she has to be on top of who's coming in. How do they communicate from the front desk to her office to let them know that the patient's in the front door?
Well, we're very lucky. We have well, we have a really tiny office, but our practice management software, with the click of a button, it changes the different colors. So you know exactly on that patient, on the schedule, when that patient arrives. And we have a room manager on it. We use our practice management software is Next Tech. So we have a room manager where we know not only when the patient checks in, but exactly what room me and my front desk will put the patient in. So we can look at this right at the schedule and know, okay, Mary Sue checked in at 3:05 and she's in room 2.
Which is great. So this way everybody is up on it and you don't have to be screaming in the halls. It doesn't have to be papers passed around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so once they come in, they're in the waiting room, they go directly into a room. And who
Yes.
meets them in that room?
Well, when a patient first comes into our office, of course, we have them either fill out paperwork on the internet, online, and they bring it with them, or we fill it out in office. That, to me, that part of it should be a little smoother, and in my idea, I know a lot of doctors I go to, you fill everything out online and it's gathered and you don't have to do anything else. Well, we're not quite up to that speed yet.
Okay.
So we do the best we can. We have patients fill out, if there are more than 2 patients in the waiting room, we always immediately take a new patient into a room so she can fill out her paperwork in private. And then Barbie, my patient coordinator, goes right in the room, talks to them again, and then she'll bring Dr. Rubinstein in.
So when they're filling out the paperwork, is it on an iPad? So it goes directly to your system?
No, we're not quite there.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But
Okay.
it should be. It really
But
should
you know
be.
what? I was just at a practice the other day and the truth is that the iPad had glitches too. I was
Oh,
using
well,
my
there-
fingernails
there-
and then I was using the pointer and, it still had its glitches.
Yeah, right.
So nothing is ever perfect, but it is the wave of the future going in that direction, so I guess you'll get there soon.
Right.
And maximizing profit potential is what we want. And it's all about, as you said, and you start to talk about the patient experience, that from the time the patient calls to the time the patient comes in and gets their consult, and that 5-star customer service is so important because they have an option of where to go. This is a fee for service, whether you're coming in for med spa type services or for plastic surgery. There's a lot of competition in the Miami area. And, doctors very busy, which is great, but it's very important. How do you get the staff to respond quickly to inquiries? Because I know that that's always a little bit of a challenge, whether it's a phone call from the night before or from Friday night and now it's Monday morning, or somebody has emailed in a questionnaire. So whose job is that and how quick are they supposed to be responding?
Well, Dr. Rubinstein is really adamant about having patients, any kind of inquiry responded to as fast as possible. So everyone in our practice has been trained to pick up the phone. If that phone rings over one time, somebody's grabbing it. That's just the way it has to be, because if you wait, we'll lose a patient. If an email comes in or a lead from Red Spot, who is the other company that we work for,
Right.
It's in our office, it's worked out very beautifully because we're very, very small and we're all very close to everyone. And you get an email and you're like, have you got that one? Who's got that one? So we're all on it. It's just an atmosphere that we've created that everybody works well together, and it's no one in the office is going, well, that's not my job. I'm not going to answer the phone. Everybody answers it. The social media guy answers it. The nurse answers the phone. So it's just, just an atmosphere that we've created but of course, with Dr. Rubinstein is the one that drives it, because he wants that phone answered. He wants every lead responded to within 5-10 minutes. So we try to do that.
So what happens if somebody sends an intake form in or leaves a message on a Friday night and now it's Monday morning and you're open?
Well, we grab those right away and start working on those immediately. We don't
So
have,
there's nobody on the weekends that's on call
No.
to do that. Okay.
no. Mm-mm.
I mean, you can't cover it all. Have you done any surveys of the patients to ask them what their, maybe some new services, or, you know, how their experience was after a procedure?
We do. SOLUTIONREACH, thank goodness for that beautiful program. When a patient leaves, when we check a patient out of the schedule, a survey immediately is emailed to them. So how was your experience? What can we do to change? You know, was your wait time too long? You know, all the just normal questions, and those come back in. I review those weekly, and so does Dr. Rubinstein. He reviews them actually more than I do, but I review them weekly. And if anybody has a negative response, I pick up the phone and call them. You know, we're so sorry, you know, you had to wait too long, Mary. What can we do to make your experience better? You know, whatever.
No, I think that's very smart, and it's great. What percentage of people actually fill out the surveys?
Well, I'd say maybe 40%.
That's a high number.
Not everybody. Yeah.
Because
I would say maybe
once
about
somebody
40.
leaves, yeah. I mean, once somebody leaves, it's usually next thing, you know, they get on with their life. So 40% is a very high number that people will respond.
I found that I've done these surveys for years and years, and the smaller the survey, the fewer questions, the better the response.
Correct.
So if you have a 10 question survey, people aren't going to do it.
Right.
But if you have a 3 question survey, you'll get a better response.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with that, because everybody is so busy that if it's click, 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 fast and easy, people will do it. And that's probably why you get such a high rating, and you get the 40% back, which is great. And it's good that you're reviewing the reports, because a lot of people get reports, whether it's their website or tracking of anything, and they're not really following up on their reports. So it's an added task, but it's valuable. And it's really interesting, and I'm happy to hear that doctor is so on top of that as well, because he's so busy. You know, it's hard to be doing everything, even in his shoes. So honestly, I get that.
Yeah, I don't know how he finds the time to do it all, but he does.
He's devoted, that's for sure. And then when it comes to, you know, when it comes to like what's affordable, what's not affordable, how do you read the patient to figure out if they need patient financing? How is your team taught to approach that?
Well, of course, that's a very touchy subject with most people. One thing that's, here I go back to SOLUTIONREACH again, that's interesting about that program, they are paired with Care Credit, which is, you know, patient financing.
Right.
And we can look at the schedule in SOLUTIONREACH, and it'll let us know what patients have Care Credit and how much they've been approved for, which is kind of cool. We don't go into a room and say, oh, I see you have Care Credit, you want to finance. That's not our style. We gently, you know, you got to read the patient, you know, and I really want to have Dr. Rubinstein, but I just don't know if I have the money, you know, I don't have it all. And then Barbie's very good about saying, okay, well, we have different financing avenues. And if she knows that patient has Care Credit, of course, she's going to immediately start with Care Credit. There's a lot of, in Care Credit, there are a lot of different programs. We don't accept all the programs because it costs the practice a lot of money. Some of those programs cost the practice 15%. And Dr. Rubinstein's not willing to pay 15%. But some of the other programs only cost us 3%. Well, that's kind of more on like a credit card. So we will accept those. But the patients we do run a lot of Care Credits. I wouldn't say on big dollar value, mostly for our like our medspa people that are doing their financing for 6 months or their Botox. But we do utilize care credit to an extent. But broaching that subject to the patient, it's touchy, but once we know that they really want to have services with us, we'll do everything. We also have another program besides care credit that if a patient has it like 50% to put down, they can put 50% down and then finance the rest. What they don't know is that we basically are financing that.
Right.
They think they're going through a finance company.
Correct, right.
So anyway, we have different options out there.
And you seem like you teach the team and educate them to be proactive, to offer the financing if you feel that somebody needs it.
Yes, yeah. My front desk, Mia, is like, we have like regular meetings and we discuss all this, okay, what are we going to do when a patient comes in and they really want to have a service and they can't afford it? This is available. And this is how you run it. Because if I get all the staff comfortable, like running the care credit or running another Alpheon or whatever it is, they don't mind offering it. It's if the staff doesn't feel comfortable with it, then they're not going to offer it. So the staff does go out of their way to try to help a patient if you can see that they're fidgeting or their credit card doesn't go through, say, hey, we have some other options. So
do they ever mention it when somebody calls to make an appointment that might be new? Do they say, we have patient financing options and maybe you have a link on your website?
Well, we do have a link on our website. And I don't really hear them offering financing, on the first contact with the patient. However, we have had patients that say, do you take care credit? So on first contact, we usually don't bring up financing options.
And what about the upgrade now that SolutionReach offers care credit and makes it much faster and much easier of a contactless process? Have you been utilizing that yet? Because it's a new integration.
It's brand new, and the only way we actually have utilized it at this point is just to look and see who has it.
Okay.
So, okay, this patient, Sue she's got up to $6,000 credit. So we know, if we present a quote to her that she, has force it, we don't, like say, I know you have care credit. We would never do that to a patient.
Right. So
we just, in our mind, we know it's there. So it kind of helps us push a little harder.
Right. And they have pre-approval process, which I know they're working on now and making it even better. And they won't be going to somebody's credit score or, so I think that will be very helpful. And you'll learn about that soon. I had just learned about that's coming up shortly. And we'll go back in a slide for a minute, because now that we got into care credit, but making it possible to build that relationship and make more sales and close more consults is what it is for us as a consultant, and the same thing for you as a manager. So let's talk about your marketing tools, just to overall in general. So, we're talking about retention and getting reviews and testimonials. Tell us a little bit of how you deal with that in your meeting, maybe, with the staff.
Well, Dr. Rubinstein has a big presence on Instagram, social media. We all are, well, besides myself, my whole staff is very savvy with social media. That's why I have a staff, because they can do it. But we talk about it. We do a lot of stories on social media. A couple of the other girls of the staff members have their social media account tied to Dr. Rubinstein. And if we have a birthday party in the office, we'll post it on social media. All the times that people enjoy watching those. It's amazing the amount of followers we get from just doing silly stuff in the office. We also like our email blast we put out once a week. Dr. Rubinstein has also done some parodies that are hilarious. So we set up a whole scheme. And for instance, when the pandemic first started and nobody could do anything, Dr. Rubinstein said, hey, let's have curbside plastic, a parody on curbside plastic surgery. So we did this whole setup where I drove up in a car. I said I wanted a facelift. He reached in the car. He had duct tape and a crowbar. It was absolutely hilarious. People love that kind of stuff. And it's not really, we're not advertising our practice, but those kinds of things are bringing patients in by the tons.
Well, I think that they see he's a real person and they see the personality,
Yeah.
and people like that. I was talking to somebody today about how everything doesn't have to be perfect. People really want to see the real person, and they really want to see the personality. And so by the time they come in, they're already like pre-sold if it wasn't somebody that came through word of mouth marketing and a friend. But they see this and they follow him. And, as we were talking about earlier, he's now doing procedures live on IGTV, which is great. And that's increasing his followers as well. I think there's more practices that need to get on social media and get on and do some videos as well. Does he do small little clips of videos, or he's really just doing the live surgeries?
He does clips. He does small clips here and there. Now, another thing that he does on a day-to-day basis, when people come in for their post-ops, he will go into a room, and thank goodness we have a social media guy with him. He goes into a room, he'll show on the camera their pre-op, and then right there live, he'll show the follow-up, how they're progressing. And the thing that's really honest about him, he'll show if somebody's having a problem, he's going to show it. But people love that honesty about him. That he's so. And then he also he has a YouTube channel that we do little clips on. He has another social media called Plastic Surgery Truths. And that's where people can call in and ask questions, and he'll be honest and tell them exactly, yes, that's a good thing to do, or no, that's not a good thing to do. So that works.
Does he do virtual consults? Because Miami is a destination spot.
We, because of our big social media presence, we do get a lot of patients from out of town. And we set up a virtual consult where a patient sends in pictures. Barbie reaches out to them, and through our website, our secure website, they'll send in pictures. And then he will call them after hours. He calls them and literally does a virtual consult. And Barbie sends them the quote, and they choose to do the surgery or not. Our out-of-town patients, we have to be real careful with, because we want to be sure, number one, they're a candidate and they're good and healthy. They have a place to stay. They have someone to stay with them, and they'll be able to be in town long enough for post-ops. So it's kind of a process, but we do a lot of out-of-town people.
Do you help them coordinate their rides and their hotels and so forth?
Yes. We have an agreement with the Marriott Courtyard right next to us, which is really nice. And we literally can walk there. If they need, we have contact with an after surgery care center. It was a nurse actually that used to work for us, and she opened up a place where patients can either spend the night or just spend the afternoon there after surgery. So that's really nice. And we can coordinate all that for them.
That's great that you do that, because I think, being Miami, it's a hub for that.
It is.
And, we're talking about reducing no-shows now, but the truth is, when you talk about somebody booking from another country or, coming out from another state, the no-show rate could be very high if they're not really bought in. So I guess you're asking them for money down other than, I guess a percentage down, or they have to prepay for their surgery before they come in. How do you deal with that? Because you don't want a no-show surgery.
Right. Yeah, that would be disastrous. No, when anybody schedules surgery, we collect a 25% non-refundable deposit. And so if anything goes wrong, we hold on to that deposit. Now, if they come back and want to do surgery at a later time, or if they want to do other services, that money's available for them. But we do not, and he's, we haven't really had too much of an issue on that. We've had a couple of patients that we've kept their deposit, but it's not been too painful. But all surgeries are paid in full 2 weeks before their surgery, regardless. And if they don't pay, then we cancel the surgery, because, it's a lot of money we put out to get ready for a surgery. So we can't have people just not showing up. Of course, all patients is normal, have to have medical clearances, chest x-rays, EKGs, and all that has to be cleared by our anesthesiologist, our nurse anesthesiologist, and the doctor. So all that's done beforehand.
That's great. And does he combine the non-surgical with the surgical, like laser treatments or any type of skin resurfacing treatments along with his, let's say, facelifts or neck lifts or whatever it is that he's doing?
He does. If somebody would like to have a full face laser while they're having their facelift, he will gladly accommodate them, or laser under the eyes. We had a lady the other day, which I almost fell over. We did a dermabrasion, which is like, whoa, that's so old, but she needed it, so that's what she got.
You mean like the CO2 dermabrasion, or?
No, old fashioned dermabrasion.
Wow.
Not the old fashioned, the old, really like grinder kind of thing. But she needed it. She had a lot of acne scars, and she had a beautiful result. So he's open to doing whatever it takes to get the patient happy and safely and looking good.
The combined therapies are what works. Yeah.
Yes.
And he's scheduled out for a couple of months. So that's a problem too, because even though it's a good problem, it still is a problem.
It is a problem. It can be a problem because the patient wants their surgery next week. We can't do it. Even if they want it now. May's done, June is booked. So it's hard, but patients, it's just a tough problem to have, but we do have it occasionally. They really want surgery, and if we can't accommodate them, we can't accommodate them.
Well, I guess that's true. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day unless he hired another surgeon, which might be, he's still very young, but maybe that with his exit strategy, he'll hire somebody else. But you need to be available for the patients, and I guess that's important. But the process now, if somebody cancels, so if they cancel within 24 hours, then there's no fee, and they just go ahead and rebook or reschedule, or just reschedule them. Is there a point where you don't take somebody because they've canceled so many times?
Yes. Yeah, we have had that issue, especially, with our younger girls that like the Botox, and they just don't show up, and they don't show up, and they don't show up, and they don't show up. I'll write them a letter and say, we really want to accommodate you. However, with your continuing no-shows, in order for you to make an appointment, you're going to have to pay $50 up front.
Oh,
so that's how we handle it. But they pay up front before they come in.
Well, I guess, you have to have certain processes in place. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of empty books, and filling your schedule is the most important. And that's why we picked the topic for today. And so basically, what are the key takeaways for keeping your schedule full and maximizing profits the way that you see it after our discussions today?
I know the number one thing I think is making patients feel comfortable. From the moment they call the office, your front desk person is the most important person in your practice, because in 5 seconds, if a patient calls and your front desk girl is in a bad mood, you've lost that patient. So number one, I think it's making sure that a patient feels welcome into the practice and keeping them engaged and keeping in touch with the patient is the most important as far as patient retention. Also, in information, we want to be sure that we're getting information out to the patients, that our newsletters are going out, our specials are going out. We want to make sure that it's continually pushed in their face, so they know we're around, we're going to be here, and this is what we have going on.
No, and I think it's great, and you're doing a great job, because that ongoing communications, the social media, training the staff. How often do you have your meetings? I don't think you mentioned that.
Well, we try once a week, but in reality, that doesn't happen. So I'm gonna say maybe about like every 3 weeks we have meetings. We really would like to do it once a week, but with everybody's schedule and the OR schedule, it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard to juggle that, for sure. Do you put people on notice often if there's something that that is not working?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Do you put somebody who's working, do you review them and put them on notice if they're not doing the job?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Dr. Rubinstein is just a very lenient kind of boss, so I'm the one that has to be a little bit hard. If somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I always sit down, and first question I ask is, what's wrong? Why isn't this happening? And then I remind them again of what their job duties are and what they should be doing. And then say, okay, let's work on that. This is your first time I've spoken to you. I don't want to have to do it again, but if I have to do it again, that'll be your second time. And I can't, the third time, sorry, that's the end. But working with staff to me that's the most difficult part of my job. The rest of it, running the practice, doing all we got that really nicely in place, but the staffing is difficult, because let's face it, most of our staff are women, and women, everybody can be get in a bad mood and have a bad day, and they could take it out on someone else. So we do have a lot of like powwows, and we talk and we try to communicate what's going on. So we just try to keep the lines of communication open. So it makes everyone more comfortable to do their job that they're assigned to.
And being an easy person to talk to like yourself, and a manager that's very on top of it, makes it better for the staff, because they don't have to go running to the doctor who's busy, who might be running out for a 2-second break, and they're running after him. So you really are a good buffer. And then you take the strong stand, which he doesn't. So you really help the practice overall to be even more successful. And you're doing a great job. And I think we have to have you on more often to be able to teach managers how to manage better and how to deal with it. But the staff is going to be issues no matter where you are, whether you're in Miami, whether you're in Italy, no matter where you are. Everybody that we talk to, there's always staff issues, and staff needs to constantly be trained. We do a lot of mystery calls. We do mystery shopping. Very interesting, the things that we find out. And you have a small office and you're on top of it, which is great, but not everybody has somebody like you. So, so doctor should be very happy to have you. And I know you're happy to be part of his practice. And I thank you for today. It really was great having you on, and all of your insights and your 25+ years of experience. So is there anything that we might have left out?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm sure there is. The minute we get off, we go, why didn't I say that? To me, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, a really long time. And to me, the most important thing is everybody's got to like what they're doing. And it shows if you love your job, you love, where you are. And that to me shines through more than anything else.
You're right. You have to be happy at work. You have to be happy with your job. And a lot of that has to do with the compensation programs too. Because there are some places where the compensation is so low and there's no real bonus or commission structure. And people just they don't have the motivation. So I think you help in motivating them. He's generous with them, I'm assuming. And so that's why they stay. And that's why, they're happy. But, Patient now has a download for today's, anybody who signs in now or signs in afterwards to listen to about relationships and how they take work. So that's a free white paper that they will get for being on. When we finish today, if there's any questions, people can email me. I'm happy to pass them on to you if there's something for you. And I look forward to having you in the future with us.
Well, thanks a lot. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Oh, you were great. And thank you for your time. I know it's so precious. Get back to your tennis.
Oh, yeah. Woo, had a good match today. Great.
All right. Good.
All
I'm
right,
so glad. I look forward to keeping up with you again. Thank
All
you.
right. You take
And
care.
I thank everybody for their participation. So if you want to reach Solution Reach, just to let Jacqueline know that you heard about it through Beautiful Forever. They have all kinds of specials and programs. Mike Flanagan and Care Credit. You can email him if you have a question about your account, if you have one, if you need to open one, there's some specials, or if you need some more training. I'm happy as well to answer any of your questions or get you in touch with anybody. We do a lot of networking here at Beautiful Forever and at the university. We do a lot of mentoring programs as well. So stay in tune, stay in touch with us. We are coaching and mentoring people all of the time. Save the dates for our next 2 open discussions, Hot Topics in Dermatology with Dr. David Goldberg, and then Innovative Feminine Rejuvenation, questions and information and how to talk about it with a famous doctor from San Antonio, Texas. So I'm looking forward to talking to Dr. Troy Halpern and having you be a part of our program. So check us out, stay in tune, stay in touch with us, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We love your feedback. So if there's somebody you want us to interview or you want to be interviewed, let us know and we'll talk.